stories? I do. I like to read stories in my books, but I like Mummy and Daddy reading stories to me. I also like listening to stories on CDs. Sometimes stories are easy to believe, sometimes they're not. The Gospel story for today talks about Jesus coming to the earth. All through Advent we thought about getting ready for Jesus. If you watched the praise videos, we heard about the prophet. He spent years telling people about Jesus coming. We also heard about John. He tried to tell people about him. But the reading says they were still not ready. I wonder if you are good at listening. I'm not. Sometimes I have to be told to do things lots of times before I do them, especially when it's something I don't want to do, like tidying up or going to bed. If you're good at listening, do you believe everything you are told? Just before Christmas, I saw my granddad. He told me that we weren't going to be able to have our fish and chips for lunch because the shop didn't open for an hour and a half, and he'd only paid for 20 minutes of parking. I almost believed him, but he was just pulling my leg. I wonder if people thought John was pulling their legs. Must have been hard to believe. And still today I know lots of people who don't believe in Jesus came at the first Christmas. We know that Jesus is going to come again, but I think people who don't believe he came won't believe he will come again. We need to tell people about him. I like coming to church and going to St. Peter's Praise. You hear about God and Jesus, but lots of people don't come to these. In lockdown, I liked watching the services on the internet. Maybe people who have never come to church also watch them. But I think that everyone who knows about God should tell people who don't know about God all about him. We might have to tell them lots of times before they listen. And they might think we're pulling their leg, just like my granddad pulls mine. But maybe they will keep listening, and then they will keep listening, and we can get ready for Jesus again.
I would like to talk about Jeremiah's message, which shows God's message that everyone should share. The opening of the reading is about spreading the word of God, with the help of our nation, help of God, our nation as well as other nations will be saved. This is a very important message to be distributed for the nation in this particular difficult time, when millions of people have to stay at home in Tier 4 areas. And hundreds of people are losing a family member or a friend due to COVID-19, when even more people are putting their life at risk, like doctors or nurses, to bring all this to an end. The message from God that is, despite all difficulties, the nation and people will be saved. This message needs to be shared and talked about. In the reading, God is talking to all people. He wants everyone without exceptions to know that despite all difficulties and hardship, the better times will come. The people will come to a fresh place, a better place at the end. And we need to come out of it as better people. God's message is that the people will climb up Zion's slopes shouting with joy, their faces beaming because of God's bounty, grain and wine and oil, flocks of sheep, herds of cattle. The fresh place, a place I would imagine as nice place with stone paths, fresh grass, flowers, trees and all forms of life, including singing birds and wild animals, who is not hunted for their skins or human pleasure. A happy memory of mine is when I did the 3 peaks. I meant to do another one last May, but the trip was cancelled as everything was cancelling at the time, and all we could do is stay at home. This brings a sad part, as we could not raise money for our chosen charity. However, I'm looking forward to doing it this year when people get vaccinated, the hospital is operating as normal, people resume travelling, and weather improves. The feeling to be on top of a mountain you just climbed gives you an indescribable feeling of achievement, being happy, and feel like you're on top of the world. My next ambition is to climb Elbrus, the highest mountain in Europe. I have to wait until I'm 14 to do it, but I'm already looking forward to it. This is my better place. What is your version of a better place? While we are fighting this horrible disease, all of us need to do our best. For example, stay at home, keep our distance, etc. Many children will face home education once more after this holiday ends. With the help of God, we will get through this and will be delivered to our better place. The way forward is to share God's message. How would you share God's message? My way would be share it throughout my daily life with my friend circle and my family. I have, as an example, good friends I can talk to and keep contact with whilst I am home through PlayStation. My parents, as all other parents I believe, do try to limit my time on electronics. But during the lockdown I could still keep contact with my friends, which ordinarily I could not meet or visit. The world of gaming and virtual reality was useful and allowed me to talk to others without leaving my home. I believe God's message can be shared that way to reach minds of youth and children. Another way to share the word of God would be through a physical contact with others. For example, I could share the message with my school friends or other members of my swim club. Whilst I cannot swim, which I am deeply disappointed about, or see my friends for a few weeks, I'm looking forward to the time I can resume my normal life, as I feel most of us do, and hope that 2021 will bring us hope and joy.